2025's 10 strongest militaries. Britain ranks only 6th, whereas China, number 1, shocks the world, stronger than the other 9 combined. 10th place, Italy. In both world wars, Italy seemed to lose wherever it fought. Online, it's a running meme that it surrendered fastest, even to its allies too. So Italy's army seemed pathetic. Even military buffs mocked it constantly. Jokes aside, as the 8th largest economy and NATO founder, Italy's military is still far from weak indeed. In 2025, Italy's $33.8 billion defense budget ranks among Europe's highest, with Army, Navy, Air Force, Carabinieri, 165,500 active and 18,300 reserved. The army is ancient, tracing roots to Italy's Royal Army at the 1861 unification. From world wars to Cold War Eastern Europe defenses to today's peacekeeping, Italy's army always stayed active. Now all volunteer, this branch uses modern gear like Dardo IFVs, Centauro tank destroyers, main battle tanks, and attack helicopters for air support. The Italian army joins UN/NATO missions abroad, Afghanistan, Lebanon, Somalia, and at home aids disaster relief and security, such as Sicilian Vespers and Domino. At sea, Italy's Mediterranean naval power fields about 30,923 active personnel and 184 ships in service. This blue water navy fields ships, 2 carriers, 4 assault ships, 3 destroyers, 11 frigates, and 8 attack subs. Mobile. It aids peacekeeping and relief missions from the Mediterranean to the Horn of Africa and Asia. Italy's Air Force was among the first to use air weapons, flying Typhoon fighters, M346 trainers, and C-130 transports, and fields the famed Frex Tricolore aerobatic team. Air Force joins NATO patrols, humanitarian airdrops, and strikes, allying missions over Yugoslavia, Iraq, Libya. Italian Carabinieri deserves special mention. This 200-year-old force serves as army and police, handling security, investigations, and peacekeeping abroad. Carabinieri fight organized crime and deploy to hotspots like Afghanistan and Iraq, even for UN stabilization. With their own command and gear, they're widely trusted nationwide, known as a glorious corps. Next time they joke about Italy's army, note its real strength instead. Ask why. 9th, Turkey. NATO's second largest standing force, after the US, isn't the UK or France. It's Turkey. Straddling Europe and Asia, it holds key strategic ground, and its military strength turns heads worldwide today. So, how did Turkey manage to stand out among so many powerful nations? By 2024, Turkey fields 481,000 active troops and 380,000 reserve. This manpower pool lets Turkey mobilize fast and keep fighting in any conflict. Notably, Turkey's military is massive, and its force structure and training keep modernizing. After joining NATO in the 1950s, it launched sweeping reforms, from dispatching nearly 15,000 troops in the Korean War to serving on global missions today. It's battle-hardened far beyond many. A military needs funding. In 2024, Turkey spent $25 billion on defense. Turkey is now driving defense industry self-reliance, from co-developing the F-35 to building next-gen weapons, aiming to stop depending on outsiders for key tech. Also, Turkey's Air Force is among the few NATO states in NATO nuclear sharing. Incirlik Air Base holds 90 US B-61 bombs, 40 cleared for Turkish use in wartime combat. Strategic arms give Turkey strong deterrence across the region. Also, Turkey's Air Force fields many F-16 fighters and gained NATO mission combat experience in Bosnia and the Balkans, proving high professionalism. Turkey's Navy is no paper tiger. It fields special units for varied missions also. 2 amphibious brigades at Fossa near Izmir total 4,500, with 3 battalions, tank and artillery units. Attack and defense divers handle recon, raids, counterterror, VIPs, mines. Turkey's new assault ship TCG Anadolu, a quasi-carrier, boosts Mediterranean and wider naval operations, backbone of Turkey's armed forces. The army, shaped by the War of Independence and modernization, is well equipped and builds its own tanks, armored vehicles, and artillery. Recently, made in Turkey Altay tanks, Cobra carriers, and drones entered service, boosting autonomy as global strategy grows more complex. This Eurasian-spanning nation may wield greater military and geopolitical influence than we expect. 8th place, Japan. In most countries, militaries balance offense and defense, but Japan calls its force the Self-Defense Forces, not mere wordplay. As a WWII loser, Article 9 bans belligerent rights in war-capable armies, so self-defense is the legal basis for its military still today. Yet over time, this non-military force quietly changed. Japan's self-defense forces have 251,500 active troops and 56,000 reserves, overall mid to upper globally. Military power isn't just numbers. Japan pours money into defense. In 2024, Japan's defense budget hit $51.4 billion. High spending lets Japan's self-defense forces import or develop advanced gear, sustaining strength and tech renewal. Japan's air self-defense force has about 50,000 personnel and 750 aircraft, 147 F-35A/BS, 62 F-2s, and 155 F-15Js, providing air superiority and ground strike. It also has 4 E-767s, 26 E-2s, 12 tankers, plus transports and helicopters for global fast response and sustained combat ops. Japan's air power shows might. The Maritime Self-Defense Force shows regional clout. Some 51,000 personnel operate 154 ships and 346 aircraft, including 2 Azuma light carriers, 2 Hyuga helo carriers, and Aegis Maya, Atago, Congo destroyers, a tech-heavy fleet, offensive and defensive. Most notable is its submarine force, 21 Soryu and Oyashio class boats, strong in underwater combat and recon. Ranking Japan. Japan's ground self-defense force still wasn't sidelined by constitutional limits, and fields Type 90/10 tanks, Patriot air defense missiles, Type 99 self-propelled guns, and Type 20 rifles. Japan's strategy is defensive, yet its arms enable combat and fast response. Yet Japan's self-defense forces remain controversial. Burdened by history and a pacifist constitution, they must act cautiously, strictly for defense and peacekeeping, never starting conflicts. Number 7. France. Many know France for romance and food, yet often miss its fearsome defense might. So how does the EU's second biggest military spender, and its largest army, rank among global military powers? France's armed forces have 4 branches: Army, Navy, Air Space Force, and National Gendarmerie. National Guard is reserve. Active, 270,000. Reserves, 63,700. Total, 333,000, including gendarmes, 435,000. France's constitution names the president commander-in-chief, but government and defense minister jointly run military operations. This balance gives military authority and political oversight on missions to fund its large force. France's 2025 defense budget is about $63.7 billion, 9th worldwide and 2nd in the EU after Germany, keeping troops operating and modernizing systems. France's army has around 400 Leclerc tanks, over 6,000 armored vehicles, various artillery, and troops mainly use HK-416 rifles. Army modernization continues, adding armored vehicles and digital command systems to boost mobility and battlefield response. France's Navy, the national fleet, leads Europe, praised as the continent's strongest blue water power projection force today. France's flagship, nuclear carrier Charles de Gaulle, Europe's only one, anchors France's power to intervene worldwide. Also, France's Navy has 10 submarines, 4 nuclear missile boats, plus destroyers, frigates, and 2 Mistral assault ships. These assets give France strong sea deterrence. Response capability. France's Air and Space Force anchors its strategic nuclear arm, flying 98 Rafale multirole fighters and 66 Mirage 2000Ds for missions. Transport includes A400M Alice and C-130 Hercules, enabling rapid deployment. Also, France's Air and Space Force runs the nuclear triad's airborne strike arm, underscoring unique role. Beyond regular troops, France's National Gendarmerie keeps order at home and polices supports abroad. Re-established in 2016 for terrorist threats, National Guard is now in official armed forces, handling domestic defense and emergency response. France's standing isn't just past glory. Modern gear, large forces, ample budget, global reach, and professional structure form a force for offense, defense, stability. 6. The UK. The UK, with under 250,000 square kilometers, will spend $76.7 billion on defense in 2025. That huge spending made this armed force unexpectedly strong. Founding NATO member and Security Council permanent member, and one of 5 nuclear states, the UK Armed Forces have 3 services: Royal Navy, British Army, and Royal Air Force, plus Royal Marines, logistics, and reserves. As of January 2025, 136,117 troops defend the UK and overseas territories, and serve in NATO, UN peacekeeping, and aid missions. When it comes to air power, the Royal Air Force stands out. It's advanced and organized, with various combat and support planes. Its main fighters are the multirole Eurofighter Typhoon and F-35B stealth jet, which can VTOL from carriers with 5th-gen strike power. The RAF fields long-range recon jets, tankers, transports, helos, and drones, building a strong force. The RAF regiment guards forward bases, aiding special ops. The Royal Navy is a true blue water force, able to fight anywhere worldwide. The fleet has 62 warships and 11 support ships of every type, including carriers to nuclear subs. Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers are Royal Navy flagships, carrying F-35Bs, key to expeditionary warfare. Britain's deterrent rests on Vanguard submarines and Trident missiles. Astute attack boats can stay submerged long and strike, among the best. The Royal Marines, under the Royal Navy, are Britain's toughest trained force, skilled in amphibious assaults, Arctic operations, and mountain fighting, training year-round with Army, Navy, and Air Force for rapid deployment. Britain's Army has regulars and reserves, grouped into several brigade combat teams, with infantry, armor, airborne, artillery, engineers, and PSY-ops units. The Parachute Regiment is famed for training and swift deployment, among the toughest. The Royal Armoured Corps fields Challenger 2 tanks, soon upgraded to Challenger 3, boosting survival and firepower in high-intensity ground combat. Though small in people and land, Britain's military know-how and reforms still keep it a major 21st century force. 5th. South Korea. On tense peninsula, South and North Korea's hostility never eased. North Korea's nuclear threat and frontline million-troop deployment long pressure South Korea to face any sudden conflict. What steps has South Korea taken in response? South Korea, half the UK's size, spent $46.3 billion on a 3.6 million military, 500k active, 3.1 million reserves. Vast military system spans land, sea, air, and marines, forming a defense web. Mountainous terrain. South Korea fields 464k troops, 5,850 tanks/AFVs, 11,337 artillery, 7,032 air defenses, and 13k support units. Army deployments reflect terrain and counter North Korea's 660,000 troops stationed along the DMZ border. To integrate resources, ROK Army is restructuring, merging 1st and 3rd Corps into 1st Operations Command, converting 2nd Army to 2nd Operations Command, speeding response. If the Army is South Korea's defense bedrock, The Navy bridges its global strategy. The South Korean Navy has 70,000 personnel, 29,000 Marines, and about 150 ships, with a total displacement of 215,000 tons. Since the 1990s, South Korea has built a blue water navy, fielding big ships to protect sea lanes. Notably, 2005's 14,000-ton amphibious Dokdo. More striking is South Korea's submarine progress since 2006. Its navy has fielded AIP-equipped Sun-1 Ale boats. The 3,000-ton Dosanan Changho launched in 2018 ushered in a new era. South Korea has about 450 mostly modern US fighters, while North Korea has around 650, mainly older Soviet and Chinese jets. A stark contrast. South Korea bought F-15K fighters and built the T-50 Golden Eagle trainer plus the upgraded F-A-50 multirole jet with electronic warfare, recon, and precision strike. It also fields Global Hawk UAVs and JDAMs, underscoring focus on info warfare and strike. South Korea will phase out Vietnam-era helicopters, building domestic multirole and attack types to better support future air combat. On this tense peninsula, South Korea's army is the shield. Fourth, India. Even after the May 1st India-Pakistan ceasefire, online debate flared over India's military. Many call it fragile, or just hype. Is that true? Clearly, the answer is no. India fields over 1.43 million active troops and about 1 million reservists. Its all-volunteer force, the world's largest, reflects strong national unity and public engagement. A force this huge needs solid funding. India now budgets $81 billion yearly for defense, ranking third worldwide globally. Such high spending keeps India's military modernizing equipment, training, and strategy. India's army, 1.24 million active, 800K reserve, organized, experienced, 350 infantry, 300 artillery units. India's army fields 4,614 main battle tanks, 140 self-propelled guns, 3,243 towed guns, and 700 plus rocket launchers, seasoned in plateau, desert, jungle warfare, plus UN peacekeeping. The Indian Navy is also not to be underestimated. 294 vessels, 2 carriers, 1 LPD, 12 destroyers, 30 escorts, 17 subs, 2 nuke subs. This 140,000-strong force nears Blue Water Navy, protecting Indian Ocean interests, with long-range deployment and blockade capability. Also, India's Air Force merits attention. South Asia's strongest, it spans air superiority and long-range strike roles. Fighters include 205 Su-30 MKI, 66 Mi-29 UPG, 49 Mirage, 36 Rafale Tejas. India's Air Force fields O-78 tankers, C-130J and C-17 transports, plus Israel's Falcon AEW, boosting strategic mobility and airborne surveillance. And India has nukes. Since its first nuclear test in 1974, India has built a land, sea, and air nuclear triad, one of the few with full delivery options. As geopolitics shifts, it is revising strategy, strengthening special forces, and planning a Marine brigade to extend overseas reach. Third place, China. Ever wonder how a nation once importing military tech became a global military powerhouse in just a few decades? So quickly? China's military modernization is a miracle. By 2025, about 2,035,000 troops serve on active duty, the world's largest force. How does China fund such a huge force? 2024 budget says $314 billion. Funds cover pay and upkeep, but mainly to build new domain, new type combat forces. For example, J-20 stealth fighters now top 120 a year, nearing 500 in service. By 2025, WS-15 engines make supercruise routine, and the 6th-gen J-36's first flight signals further air dominance upgrades. If the Air Force is heaven's blade, The Navy's makeover marks Deep Blue Ascent Troop from Liaoning's 2012 commissioning to Fujian's 2025 combat readiness. China fields 3 carriers. Meanwhile, Type 055's rapid build stuns the world. 12 of the second batch's 8 are launched, with 16 in service by end 2025, armed with Mach 10 plus YJ-21 missiles that pierce any air defense. This carrier-destroyer nuclear submix moves China's navy from coastal defense to global reach. The Army's shift is equally striking. 29 brigades form the Corps, each with 112 Type 99 tanks, 100 plus CBD-04 AIFVs, and 84 SP howitzers, more firepower than most armies. Key is smart upgrades. Drone swarms do recon, strikes, and jamming. Z-21 helicopter carries millimeter wave radar and stealth. Type 15 tanks use modular armor for plateau, urban combat. Steel flood and smart troops together redefine modern ground combat. Strategic deterrence's anchor is the rocket force. DF-41 AICBM reaches worldwide, carries 10 MIRVs, and upgraded anti-jam guidance boosts penetration even more. DF-27 ranges 5,000 plus km, using glide maneuvers to breach missile defenses. Upgraded DF-17 near-space glider hits moving targets at Mach 12. These assets form a dual deterrent, protecting sovereignty and security. In today's globalized world, no nation can ever stay fully secure alone. From Army digital brigades to Navy carrier drills, from Air Force airlift across oceans to Rocket Force missile tests, every upgrade serves one aim: add stability to an uncertain world. For all. Second, Russia. February 2022, Russia's Ukraine offensive suddenly stunned the world. This conflict shattered geopolitical balance and again asks the world, in the modern era, is Russia still among the strongest military powers on Earth? Let's start with staffing. By headcount, Russia ranks 5th. In 2024, it has about 1 million active troops, nearly 2 million reserves, and plans to raise active to 1.5 million by year's end. So Russia spent about $149 billion on defense in 2024, over 7% of GDP, third globally now. Compared with 2023's $86.50 $109 billion budget. This jump shows clearly Russia fast-tracking military spending in wartime. Russia's power isn't just numbers. It's modernizing its air force. Modern weapons were 35% in 2014, reaching 72% by 2017 across the fleet overall. In 2023, Russia's air force got over 100 new or refurbished jets and 150 helicopters. Lighter pilots average about 60 to 100 hours yearly. Transport pilots reach up to 120 on radar. Russia's Air Force fields Nebo-M systems to track stealth jets, deploying them in areas like the Arctic to ensure strategic early warning everywhere. Russia's Navy sustains global influence, fielding the world's second-largest ballistic missile submarine fleet, securing a reliable nuclear second strike capability today. Also, Russia alone besides the US and China fields strategic bombers like Tu-160 and Tu-95. With intercontinental strike, the Black Sea, Baltic, Northern, Pacific fleets and Caspian flotilla form a major navy, defending nearby waters and sailing far to show presence. The Russian Army, its main force, is large and fields many T-72, T-80, and T-90M tanks, as well as IFVs and self-propelled artillery. Also, Russia's strategic rocket forces hold the largest nuclear arsenal. Rs-24 Yars ICBMs are accurate, MIRV deterrent. Russia may lag in info war, logistics, and communications, yet its forces, advanced air power, nukes, and enduring deployments sustain confidence. First, USA. The US runs at least 128 military bases across 49 countries and regions, a footprint proving it leads global military power, yet this hegemon keeps still expanding. In 2024, US defense spending hit $886 billion, higher than any nation, over twice China's budget and more than 5 times Russia's. It funds routine forces, advanced weapons R&D, deployments, and growth in space and cyber warfare, ample funding keeps US military power ahead. No doubt. Beyond funding, it takes manpower. About 1,328,000 active US troops and 799,500 reserves, plus the world's largest private military contractors. 2. Supporting logistics, security, and tech services. This military manpower network is skilled, high-tech, and mobile, quickly adapting to complex battlefields, ensuring US global missions. The US Air Force is today's largest, most technologically advanced air power worldwide. Reports say the US has 13,000 plus military aircraft, including hundreds of F-22 and F-35 fighters. Beyond fighters, the US Air Force fields many strategic bombers, B-2 Spirit and B-52 Stratofortress, plus modern tankers and AWACS, forming a vast force able to strike worldwide. For precision attacks or total air dominance, it holds an overwhelming edge. The Navy also matters. By 2024, it operates 11 active aircraft carriers, over half the global total. Every carrier group has layered defenses, frigates, destroyers, and nuclear subs, able to fight independently in any sea. Also, the US Navy fields 90-plus destroyers, over 50 attack subs, and modern amphibious forces, key to global deployment. Ocean strike. No wonder some call the US Navy a floating nation. Its presence alone reshapes any region's strategy. Though less noticed than air and navy, the US Army is formidable. US Army has about 48 brigade combat teams. Light, armored, air assault, expeditionary. Each BCT is modular and self-sufficient, able to deploy quickly to any hotspot with future soldier, unmanned systems, and precision fires. The U.S. Army shifts from traditional ground forces to high-tech, networked war. U.S. strength lies beyond forces, in its broad strategic deterrence. From nuclear triad to space forces, from global eavesdropping to cyber war, America has built a multi-domain military dominance web. Like NORAD, its defenses stood unbreached for decades. It can be said that the United States has built a global security network with itself at the core. Well, that's all for this video. Which of the top 10 military powers stood out to you today? Tell us in the comments.